A few reflections on meditation. We'd like to unfurl our attention from the distractions of the world by really arriving. What we're doing here is an inward looking, focusing into the heart, focusing into how this mind-body works. And the very first thing that we do is find an object, a neutral object. And you will start with the physical basis, or the physical base, which is the body. And just scan the body and see how it feels. And realize that having come to this place means that we've left where we were. Obviously, but just bring attention to that. It's like the Buddha left the palace. So, leaving home and coming to this sanctuary, it's like coming to a monastery. Leaving home, even though it's for a short time, this is a significant, it's a giving up of what is familiar for the sake of exploring that which we may not know. And certainly, if we're focusing our minds appropriately, then every moment is new, fresh, unknown, unfiltered with our thoughts, prejudices, preferences, opinions and biases, judgments. So the manner of looking is different than the way we grasp the world, grasping our work, family life, entertainments, distractions, preoccupations, leaving that aside so that we can look without opinion, without evaluating, for the moment by moment. And as we investigate the body and the mind, we do bring into it a certain amount of wise reflection. And it's a way of assessing what do we need and what don't we need. But the arriving is really a renunciation. Just as you are familiar with the 5 precepts and the 8 precepts, this is part of the renunciation, the giving up the world and being here, being fully present. So attending to the body in the right way, look for the breath. Where does the breath arise? Just locate it and try to connect to it, whether it's at your belly or in your heart area, solar plexus, or at the tip of your nostrils. Just focus your attention there and keep the body quite still, balanced, as if you're on a boat. And we're now navigating the boat. It's not a big boat, it's like a canoe. You have to sit really well centered in the canoe. Otherwise it might easily tip over. And so let the body be the outer shell, and within it we explore by resting on the breath, and that too, that's like an internal canoe. To really rest our attention on the breath, it can't be too forced or too light. It should be balanced. Balanced but appreciative, have a warm feeling. Whether we like the breath or we don't like the breath, as an object, this is irrelevant. But we're here to appreciate the opportunity to use the precious breath of life as our vessel to carry us towards greater wisdom, greater understanding, inner illumination. So a steadiness of mind, a one-pointedness of mind, inclining the mind. Every moment of inclining the mind towards the breath is another moment of giving up the world. And we keep doing it with the intention to be continuously attending to the breath. Whether thoughts are coming and going, that's not where our attention should be. Because we keep leaving the world and inclining our minds towards freedom from the world. Now, this is a form of right mindfulness. Right mindfulness has within it right view, properly developed. We're seeing where the mind needs to be pointed or directed. And as we develop this appropriate attention, then the clarity of mind begins to open. We promote that. We cultivate it. And seeing what is in front. As the breath arises, just feel that from the first moment, the first inhalation, or the beginning of an inhalation, just be there. This is not a cursory attention. It's meticulous. So the beginning of the breath, the middle of the breath, the ending of the breath, and then the out-breath, the in-breath, the out-breath. Notice if there's a gap between the in-breath and the out-breath, and then another in-breath and another out-breath, onward and inward. So sati, mindfulness, is not just paying attention, but it's remembering. In this attentiveness comes memory. Finding the breath, attending to the breath, remembering to attend to the breath, seeing clearly, remembering to notice again the breath, seeing clearly what is being seen. And then sati, mindfulness, becomes the partner, a friend to samadhi, concentration. So we pick up the breath as the object, and then the mind is able to rest on the breath more and more and study it. This is the project, studying the breath, studying our present moment experience, not the past, and not analyzing what's going on around us, but focusing inward, not the conceptual thought production going on in the mind, but the clear, intuitive awareness of the present moment breath as our object. Occasionally you can come back to the body formation and just feel if you're straight or drooping, still or adjusting to keep sati sampajanya, clear comprehension of what is happening, all dimensions of our experience, and then single-pointedly returning to the breath as our anchor, our reference point, until mindfulness naturally rests attention on the breath. Don't force it, but be diligent. So we need an effort. It's not that you can just point the mind there and it will stay there. We have to continuously redirect our attention with eagerness, ardency, with a real yes. Here now, ready to be mindful, to focus, to stay present, to incline the mind. And when the canoe starts to tip, notice why. Why is the balance off? Are we lost in thought? Or distracted? Sleepy? Or disinterested? Not sure? Or concerned? Restless? Or wanting to do something else? Just drop that as soon as it comes into awareness. Let it go, come back, balance, direct the mind to the breath, and return to this full-time, continuous process of keeping the mind on the breath, riveted to it, with satipanya, mindfulness and wisdom working together to put the right ingredients into our work for this morning. And let this be a joyful work. If you can keep a little smile in the heart, not artificially, but just by remembering. Let sati be the way that we remember the blessing of this opportunity to stop and listen to our experience. But the old demons might come crawling in, trying to distract us and wean us away from this work of being present, mindfully, attentively. And then we redirect, re-incline, encourage, coach ourselves. Yes, only this moment. No past, no future. Everything is provided. What is there to discover? What is arising? And knowing it just as it is. Breathe very naturally, not forced. Know the softness of the breath or the hardness. If it's contracted, try to breathe to release the tension. If there's pain coming up in the body, use that. Direct your attention to that area and just observe it with patience, with curiosity, rather than with aversion or worry. Just investigate, what is the pain? Not why, but what. To disband it with wisdom, with wise attention, rather than by forcing. Pain is our teacher. What can we learn? In the same way, not to be intoxicated by pleasurable feelings, but to be calm, appreciative, again curious. What is it? What is it? It's joy. Know the joy and let it be folded into our mindfulness. So it's a joyous presence rather than begrudging or I can't do this. Attachment to self-view. It's an impersonal process. The study of what this process is. And the awareness that teaches us moment by moment. If we can stay vigilant, interested, wisely reflecting, wisely seeing. If the mind is restless, just notice that as restlessness and come back to your breathing. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong in the sense of I'm a bad meditator, or I can't pay attention. But taking out the I from that formula, we can begin to see the breath with the sense of an emptiness of self. It's just the breath, the air element, entering into the body, the earth element. Notice the coolness or the heat, the shallowness or the depth. Leaving thoughts at a distance over and over again. This is what we're practicing. We've just arrived. But eventually, these thought formations will calm down and settle down as long as we keep our attention directed in the right way. Keep sweeping the thoughts out and balancing our little boat. Staying away from the rapids of the world, of memory, of planning, of worrying, of wanting. There is no control over it. There is no one who can govern it, prevent it, rule over it, disband it, make it go away. It just keeps coming back. Just see the nature of this body-mind formation and this thought formation, the forming of thoughts, the river of thoughts. And we see these characteristics. This is for our benefit to see the impermanence, the suffering, and the emptiness of thought, rather than to be carried away by thought. Coming back to the in-breath, at the very moment that it arises, see if you can catch that. The wildness of the mind can be stopped by one moment of mindfulness. That's all it takes. like putting the brakes on your car. Just have to press the right foot onto the brake and it will stop, the car will stop. So when the thoughts are screaming, taking over, we just brake with sati, mindfulness, brake, and see the arising, see the middle, see the ending. Notice if there is a gap, then the next, the out-breath, arising, middle, fading away. We don't hang on to the ending of the breath. We're just ready for the new breath to come. In the same way, we let go moment by moment, not hanging on to any trace of what was, but being fully ready to receive and welcome what is presently arising. If it's a thought, we let it go. If it's the breath, we attend. We take care, we care. We see. We investigate. We know it. And then the next breath. If any other stimulus comes through the ears, smelling, tasting, feeling, physical feeling, a heart feeling, a mood, be aware of that. Know it for what it is. If it's predominating over attention to the breath, then just practice with it. Eventually, if it should fade away, come back to the breath. If it doesn't fade away, just stay with that sensation in the nose or a sound in the ear, a tickling in the throat, contraction in the knee. Use any of the physical manifestations of experience to keep the mind present, to see the three characteristics, moment by moment, rather than to be carried away with opinion, distraction, desire. In this way we polish the mirror of the mind to keep it clear so that we can truly see what is arising in consciousness and know it for what it is. Just notice what is arising in the mind. Is there impatience? Giving up? A sense of boredom? Or the opposite? A strong interest, a calming, a stilling, a peacefulness, a new energy. Not to attach to either, but certainly to encourage the mind towards stillness. The mind yearns, if one can say that, to abide in stillness. In clarity. to emerge from confusion and stress. Sometimes the worry or the stress refuses to let go. We can't shake it. Just keep bringing in a calming, a coaching. All is well. All is well. Again and again until it departs. To dismantle it little by little. And if it really holds on, just give it a good push. Not just a nudge, but a cut, like closing the door and turning back to the mind, to the breath, to the moment, to the clarity. The choice is always ours. Where we direct our mind, there it will go. With sati, we can remember where to direct it. This is key. So take a couple of moments to review how it's been. If we were able to calm the mind a little, or a little more than a little, or even quite a lot, and how to do that again. Letting go and remembering to let go, and tasting the peace of that. Also, bearing in mind compassion, still arriving. But little by little we get there. Back to the middle.